Hello, my name is Simon Eddy. I'm the Chief Executive of the Harman Finter Group. We're a corporate strategy consultancy, and I'm here to give you a brief overview on leadership. First topic is management to leadership. We need to understand management so that we can then understand leadership. Management values underpin our decision making in organizations. They underpin basically everything that we do, and it's the first port of call for learning about management and leadership. Here are some examples which are taken from local companies in Portsmouth. You can pause the video and take a look at these in more detail. This is the Blake Mouton Management Grid, which was developed in, I think, 1964. So it's been around quite a long time. This gives us 5 styles, and what you do is score yourself 1 to 9, low to high, for both concern for people and then again for concern for results. That will give you a position on the model. Now, the ideal one that we're aiming for is team management. This is the most effective form of management. If you pause the screen, you can see there what the different styles create. My particular style tends to be country club management, so I have to be particularly careful about results. I have to try to focus more on results while still focusing on people to a high level. You can try this with your managers or your team and see what score they produce. Now we're going to look here at Jim Collins' Level 5 leadership, his pyramid of leadership. In this model, the executive is higher than the effective leader, who is above the competent manager, who is above contributing team member, who is above highly capable individual. Now, I would tend to disagree with this model and say that leadership is executive or above, is higher than executive. But in this model, level 5 executive is the highest level. What he says is that we have to be encoded to be a great leader. He gives the example that he studied mathematics at college, majored in mathematics, and he thought he was good at mathematics, but then he met people who were encoded for mathematics. Okay, quick look at leadership styles. Just before we look at leadership styles, I want to give you a quick overview of Great Man theory of leadership. This is a model whereby the leader is born to be a leader. It's something which is in the blood from birth. And I just want to say that this is a bit of an outmoded concept now, other than the fact that it's not very politically correct to talk of great man. We should actually be talking about great person theory of leadership. Being born to be a leader is not really considered to be the way that things actually are. Leadership is something which we can develop throughout our life, and it's often the product of circumstance. Now, so here are some leadership styles. Visionary, autocratic, bureaucratic, paternalistic, laissez-faire, democratic, transactional, transformational, coaching, pace setter, narcissistic. I hope no one here is narcissistic. Laissez-faire is also one to avoid because that tends to be known as a non-leadership style. And we can look at these and we can say, well, which one is mine? Which one is my leadership style? A lot of people will go for transformational. I think quite a few will go for coaching, some paternalistic. My own particular type is actually laissez-faire or democratic. I tend to be a non-leader. I tend to be very laissez-faire about the way I organize people. But I am also very democratic. However, I believe myself to be visionary. So or perhaps that's something that I would like to become. So leadership is a choice. This is a very important point to pick up on. We have a choice about leadership. We can get up every day and decide that we're going to be leaders, or it can be a moment in time where we decide I'm going to be a leader going forward. Here are some diagnostic questions, so pause the video if you want to take a look at these in more detail. So this is Lewin's leadership style framework. This was developed in, I think, 1964, so it's been around a long time. There are three types: authoritarian, which is also autocratic, participative, which is also democratic, and delegative, which is also laissez-faire. When I did this test, I came out as participative or democratic. This is why I said I tend to be democratic or laissez-faire. I've come out on other tests, on other assessments, as laissez-faire. Now, what Lewin said is that the perfect leader is in the middle of all of these three. So what you can do is you can take a leadership assessment, which you can actually do at mindtools.com. That's not my site, that's another organization. And that will tell you which one is your natural tendency. So for me, if I'm democratic, I have to try to be more autocratic and also try to be a bit more laissez-faire. And that will take me into the middle of the region of these three categories of the Venn diagram. Here's a more recent model of leadership. Leadership styles. This is by Goleman, and he talks about building resonance as a leader. So we have 6 styles: coaching, visionary, pace setting, democratic, affiliative, and commanding. Now, they each have different attributes. Coaching connects what a person wants with the organization's goals. Visionary moves people towards shared dreams. That's the one I aspire to. Pace setting meets challenging and exciting goals. Democratic values people's input and gets commitment through participation. Affiliative creates harmony by connecting people with each other. And commanding soothes fears by giving clear direction in an emergency. Now, Goleman does actually warn us about 2 of these. He says that pace setting can often be very negative if it's used in the wrong context. You should only use it when you have a high-performing team already. Commanding is also a bit of a risky one to use. It's very good in an emergency, but not so great during other times when it might cause low morale. So, some more diagnostic questions here. Is leadership style constant? Well, I would say leadership style is not necessarily constant. Although some people only have one style and they stick to that style all the time, what we're really talking about there is an extension of personality. The leadership style is something which can change. What is the context of leadership? Leadership depends on the context. Different situations require different leaders or different types of leadership. Can different people lead at different times? Well, yes, they do. In a team, you can find different tasks arising which call for a different person to be the leader. Sometimes it can be because of their knowledge or their skill, or just that they decide that they're the one to take up the gauntlet and lead the task. Do we need to have been a good follower to be a good leader? Well, this is another great argument, isn't it? I would say no, you don't have to have been a good follower, but it really helps. Does our leadership depend on the follower? Well, later on we'll look at LMX theory, which definitely says leadership does depend on the follower. Do we need to be a born leader? No. Great man theories have mostly been debunked now. So we can develop as a leader. We don't have to be born a leader. Can leadership be a moment of epiphany or a moment of choice? It can be both. It can be a moment of epiphany, or it can be a moment where we choose to become a leader. We're now going to talk about some leadership theories. So here we have some leadership theories. These are higher academic theories which you might study if you were doing a master's degree in leadership or an MBA. Situational, authentic, charismatic, transcendent, LMX, which is leader-member exchange, and servant leadership. The servant leadership is where the leader is actually serving the followers. He actually lives to say, well, what do you need? What can I do to improve the situation? And it's probably somebody who exemplifies this is maybe our own King Charles III. He has really been a servant of the country for many years. Transcendent leadership. This is a Venn diagram of three factors: leadership of the self, leadership of the other, and leadership of the organization. And when these combine, we get transcendent leadership, which is going above and beyond what leadership normally is. This is often ascribed to religious leaders because it includes reverence. LMX is a relationship-based theory where the leader and the member have a particular relationship, and the quality of the relationship depends upon certain factors within a psychological contract. So this is things like the chance for promotion, opportunity for pay rises, various factors which the leader has some power over and which the follower deems as being relating to the trust in the relationship. Charismatic leadership, this is really an extension of personality. So someone who is a charismatic sort of person is likely to use charismatic leadership. And they basically use their charm and charisma to motivate team members or followers to follow them and their leadership. Authentic leadership, again, is similar to charismatic leadership, but it's about authenticity in the person's behavior. So integrity is a major part of authentic leadership, and they lead with the heart. Situational leadership shows us that we can be a different type of leadership style, or we can exhibit a different type of leadership style depending upon the situation. Leadership development and culture development. Here are some leadership development methods. I have to say that the most important one is self-development. This has been shown by Goleman in his work on primal leadership and resonant leadership. It also features in some other theories as well, such as transcendent leadership. Leadership assessments is also important because this can tell us how we're developing over time. A cultural audit. Now we can take a cultural audit of our organization by asking certain questions of staff which give us an overall score on a fear and freedom axis. This enables us to understand how the culture responds to the organization's operations, and it also gives us something to lead, because really we should be looking for a high freedom, low fear culture. Now you should, as I have done here, create yourself a personal development plan. This enables you to keep focusing on development of your leadership capabilities. As we've seen, you're not born a leader, you have to develop as a leader, and this is the right thing to do to get there. Thank you. I have been Simon Eddy, and we have been Harman Funter. And if you want to ask any questions, please feel free to email me at the address shown above. And thank you for your time.